I will explain to you why that stressing feeling in your stomach is actually not your body wanting to hurt you, it's actually your body wanting to help you. So instead of seeing stress as your enemy, with this video, I want to help you to see stress as your friend. And I wish I had this information 15 years ago when I was in school and super stressed. And I wish I had this information when I started with studying and work, because then maybe I wouldn't have hated that feeling so much of stress. And to start, I want to give you a sort of quote, not from an exact book, but from those few books that I've read in the few past months, that kind of says, if you are never stressed in your life, then you would actually die. And I think that's counterintuitive, because the feeling of stress tells you, watch out, this feeling is bad, it might be unhealthy for me, I might get a burnout from this, right? So you hate this feeling. But the truth is, the body is doing this on purpose. It's helping you and it will help you grow. And I will explain why now. So from an evolutionary perspective, it's pretty simple. Thousands of years ago, when you were living in the jungle and a wild animal approached you, you would run away. And that because your body was sending you signals you need to run or fight or maybe even freeze so that this animal will not kill you. You needed a strategy to make sure that you survive. And nowadays, we are not living in the jungle, but we are at school, we are at work, and that is what is stressing us. This means when you have stress, it's your brain producing a hormone, mostly cortisol or adrenaline, that will make you fight that situation or somehow take action to take care of the situation. Because only if you deal with this problem, then it will make sure that you have your survival. And just to be clear, with this video, I will not make your stress go away. Instead, I want to give you a different perspective of stress, because this is fundamental and will make you better understand that stress will actually help you and make you grow in the long run. So I won't be giving any 7 tips or whatever, although these things are very important, like relaxing, having a warm bath or exercising, having good nutrition, taking care of relationships, etc. But that's a whole nother topic. I just want to show you a few examples of how stress will help you. Maybe you've seen the movie WALL-E. In the future, I think from Pixar or Disney, with this little robot, and the humans there, they don't have to do anything anymore. They have all the resources they need, food, money, everything is done for them by the robots, and they just sit in their sofa all day long, and they're not challenged, and they just become fat. And that's when you could become depressed, because you're not challenged. And from not being challenged, you start to get bored, and the longer you're bored, you start to get depressed. And in the worst case, if you're really depressed, you die from depression. My personal old belief was always, the stress is killing me, it's making me sick at school or at work. And I think it was 1 or 2 years ago when I picked up this random book from a German author. I think his name is Urs Willmann, and he called his book Stress ein Lebensmittel, so something like stress a vital thing. And in his book he shows some different examples of why the body is producing stress and how it's helping your organism. And when reading this book, I was actually right then in the situation that for the first time in my life last year, I had bought a car. Until then, I was always using public transport. And I wasn't used to driving a car in rush hour to work and back from work home for 45 minutes. And this was really stressful for me, because I was always sitting in the car like, don't make an accident, don't make an accident. There's so many cars here, don't crash. And I hated this feeling. I felt like, oh, why did I buy this car? Maybe I should get rid of it. And then I read this book that stress is actually good for you, and he showed these examples. And then I realized, wait a second, when your body is telling you don't crash and this is uncomfortable, it's because it's actually telling you or showing you how you're going to survive this traffic without crashing and maybe injuring yourself very badly, in the worst case, even dying in a crash. And when I changed this perspective, I felt good, and I thanked my stomach for helping me to focus in traffic so other people wouldn't crash into me or I wouldn't crash into other people. And this realization was so interesting to me because I've struggled with stress all my life. And about a month or two ago, I picked up this book, Anti-Fragile, from Nassim Taleb, the author of The Black Swan. Maybe you know that. And he talks about similar topics. The title of his book is Anti-Fragile, meaning that organisms that aren't just fragile and will break under pressure, they will actually grow after they have been under pressure. And that's what differentiates us humans or organisms from other materials. Let's say metal or wood. If you put pressure on that, it will go into a other form and it will stay in that form. Maybe it will even break. And us organisms, bacteria, animals, people, when we are put under pressure and when we do have the time to take a break and heal again, after that experience, we will actually become stronger. And you've probably heard that, for example, in hospitals, the bacteria on the floor are so strong, and that is because the floor is being cleaned all the time and they are using chemicals to swipe the floor, etc. And of course, a lot of these bacteria, maybe viruses, they die, but the ones that survive, they grow even stronger after that. And that's why it's so hard to get rid of them after that. Another example is if you break a bone. If you've broken a bone before, you know that when your bone grows back together again, like mine 2 months ago, the first bone that I broke, that there will be a thicker part of the bone after it's been growing back together again. And the likelihood of that part breaking again is, I think, so small because it has become stronger. And there's one really important distinction that you have to make. There is acute stress and chronic stress. And the acute stress is that stress which will let you grow if you get a break after a while. And the chronic stress, that's the type of stress that might lead to burnout if you don't take a break. Nassim Taleb shows in his book Anti-Fragile this one example of, I don't know how to spell it exactly, I think hormesis, when a few hundred years ago, I think it was, pharmacists injected a small amount of poison into people to see what happens. And of course, if the amount of poison is too high, maybe the person will even die from this. But if it's just a small amount, enough for the person to survive, this person will become more resistant when they have healed again. And I'm not saying this to promote vaccines or whatever. I'm not a very big fan of vaccines. It's just an example of showing that when an organism like us humans are put under pressure, under stress, and it's not too much, it's so much that you can survive it, somehow take a break after a while, then after this experience, you've learned something. You know this type of situation, and when the next time this type of situation comes, you will know better how to deal with it. Okay, so these were just a few screenshots of the information about stress, and I'd hope it helps you understanding that when you shift the perspective on stress and start using it as a signal from your body telling you that you need to take action, then it will actually help you. And instead of being this annoying and very uncomfortable feeling in your stomach, you will see it as a form of energy that you can use because your body is telling you, take action. There is much more to say about this topic of stress, and I'm pretty sure I will make more videos about stress. If you have any questions or comments, please write them to me. If you want to know more about the books, I will put the links in the video description and you can check out those resources. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you soon. Bye.